Hello everyone, my name is Wu Xiang. I'm a professor of Jiangxi University of Chinese Medicine in China. Today, I'd like to introduce trainer therapy to all of you. What is trainer therapy? Take a look. In China, trainer is a therapeutic treatment we used many in hospital, but not only in hospital, outside of hospital, even more popular. Why? Because trainer is used as a way of relaxation and also therapeutic treatment. It can be used for some diseases and symptoms. Trainer has a long history. So it has a much earlier history than any other therapeutic treatment. For example, acupuncture therapy, for example, medication therapy. So trainer is longer than all of these therapy. Why trainer is so popular in China? Because it's simple to learn and safer to do, to practice. So no big risk to practice. And it's easy to learn, easy to practice. And also, it is quite effective. It can cure different kinds of symptoms, diseases. So that's why trainer is so popular in China. Of course, outside China, for example, European country, in the United States, in other country, trainer is not as popular as acupuncture. I don't know why. Maybe trainer is not so introduced, not as introduced as acupuncture. But I have so many experiences spread and introduced trainer therapy abroad myself. So what is trainer? Take a look. Generally speaking, people understand trainer like this kind of action. So, for example, trainer can stimulate the soft tissues, stretch the muscles, and mobilize the joints. So when we use trainer, use different kind of manipulations used on the specific body regions. So it can promote blood circulation and remove blood qi stagnation and restore impaired soft tissues and correct bone and joint deformities. So that is to say, trainer can deal with the surface and the shallow part of the body, skin, muscle, joint, soft tissue, ligament, and so on. But not only this, trainer can do something else internally. For example, trainer can create signals that affect the transmission of fluid, qi, and blood. So through this, trainer helps to regulate the functional state of the internal organs. That means internal 脏腑 organs, the heart, the lung, the spleen, the liver, the kidney, and all other internal organs function. It can regulate. So it can deal with some disease and symptoms internally. So let's take a look. How does Chinese medicine explain trainer? How does TCM understand trainer? So here there are 5 kinds of aspects. Number 1, judge meridians. Trainer is able to judge meridians. What is meridian? So meridian is a very basic theory, basic things of acupuncture. So anyone would want to learn acupuncture, they have to learn first meridians and the collateral theory. So when meridian and the collateral is not circulated well all over the body, so symptoms and diseases will be occurred. So trainer is able to judge meridians. That means can prevent or cure some diseases through this, through judge meridians. Number 2, lubricate joint. We know that in our body there are so many kinds of joints. Big joint, small joint. from the head to low foot, all over the body, all our spine, also 4 limbs, so many joints. All these joints, if we do too much physical activity, we do some labor job, we do some sports too much, or if we stay too much, so this joint will be wear out. So will lead to the joint problem. For example, stiffness of the joint, pain of the joint. So tuna can lubricate joint, can relieve this kind of problem. Number 3, tuna is able to promote qi and blood circulation. So Chinese medicine considers that our body, in our body, qi and blood should be circulated normally, freely. In this case, no problem. Our body is healthy. Otherwise, when there is a stagnation of qi and blood, will lead to some problem, diseases, pain, and so on. Tuna is able to promote qi and blood circulation, can do something for relieving disease, relieving pain, and prevention of disease. Number 4, tuna is able to regulate the functions of Zangfu organs. Like just now, I mentioned that through the promote fluid, qi, blood, circulation, and then tuna can do something for Zangfu organ function, can do some benefit to improve Zangfu organs function, can regulate, can do some cure of the internal organ disease and also prevention. Number 5, the last one, enhances the human resistance to disease, to some diseases. So what is the meaning of this? That is to say, to health cultivation, to do health cultivation, health care. For example, some people has some, is a sub-healthy condition, is under sub-healthy condition, so not disease. So tuna can do something to do that, to prevent disease occur, to take care of a sub-healthy condition people, to prolong our life, to keep our body fit, keep our function, normal function of every systems. So not only for patient, but also for common people. So that is that's why nowadays so many tuna salons spread everywhere, every corner in our city, in different city. So that is number 5. It's outside hospital, people use too much this. Next slide. Modern explanations for tuna. So how does modern scientific research show the action of tuna? First of all, tuna is able to regulate nervous system. We know that in our body, in human body, nervous system mainly divided into 2 aspects. One is a sympathetic nervous system, other is a parasympathetic nerve system. So these 2 systems seems like yin-yang in Chinese medicine. Sympathetic nerve like yang, parasympathetic nerve like yin. Yang means sympathetic nerve system more active, more excited, and parasympathetic nerve more restrained. So these 2 systems normally should be kept in balance. Neither sympathetic nerve system nor parasympathetic nerve system too strong. So both of them should be kept in balance. So when there is this balance broken, so that means what? Diseases will be occur. So internal organ function, nervous system, and any systems can be problem. So tuna can regulate nervous system, soothing or stimulating nerve ending to regulate this equilibrium, balance, make them to balance. So that's why it can lead to what? Lead to healing, can heal some problems, diseases. Secondly, tuna can improve blood and lymph circulation. Take a look at this picture. This is a small area of our body under skin, of course. When tuna act on this area, tuna manipulation act on this area, it can improve these areas' blood and lymph circulation. So that's why, can do what? Can raise white blood cell count through tuna manipulation, and can higher endocytosis action, and increase blood volume. So all of these can relieve inflammation, or even infection. So that's why tuna can do something for diseases and symptoms. Next slide. Number 3, tuna is able to promote bioactive ingredient release. Tuna, everybody knows tuna can do release painful condition, can relieve pain. That is a major function or action. Why? Because tuna can enhance the secretion of some substance, bioactive ingredients like endorphin, serotonin. When there is a pain condition, so these two substances in our body, the level is very low. So when we do tuna, so can increase the level of endorphin and serotonin, and so the pain relieved. That's why. And other substance just opposite to endorphin and serotonin is catecholamine. Catecholamine level. When there is a pain or too excited a nerve system or some internal system, so catecholamine level is maybe a little bit higher than normal. So tuna is able to reduce this catecholamine level in our body. So that's why also can result in, some important physiological activity, slowing down, and then the body become more relaxed. So that's the number 3 mechanism. Next slide. Tuna is able to speed up tissue healing. As we mentioned just now, I mentioned before, tuna can relieve pain through some, bioactive ingredients release. Can relieve pain and promote local circulation, relieve swelling and adhesion, and facilitate the healing process of damaged tissue. Why that? Not only enhance the bioactive ingredients, but also tuna manipulation can increase metabolism. When there is inflammation or when there is a strain of muscle or soft tissue in our body, some metabolite product will be there. So tuna therapy can increase metabolism, can do something elimination of inflammatory metabolite from the body. So for example, lactic acid. When we do some sports, physical activity too much, so some lactic acid will be accumulated, will be more in our body. So tuna can help to eliminate metabolism and to eliminate this kind of product. So that's why it can result in some tissue healing. So this one also show that increased metabolism, not only on our body surface muscle, skin, soft tissue, and so on, but also can do something, increases the body's secretion and excretions. For example, tuna can promote production of gastric juices, saliva, and urine, and also promote gas exchange in the lungs. So increase metabolism, and other physiological activities inside body. So that's why can reflect overall increase in metabolite rate. So can do something to treat some problem. This one, tuna can do something, enhance mobility and flexibility. For example, when we do some manipulation of tuna, can stretch the muscles, can also stretch the connective tissues through tuna and help keep the tissue elastic. For example, some muscles, if we don't do some, some movement, when we keep some position too long time, the tissue, soft muscle will be stiff, more stiff. And tuna can do something, make our soft tissue more elastic and firm. So keep our body fit, of course. So there are so many kind of mechanisms explained by modern science, modern research. Now take a look, next slide. What kind of diseases can be cured by tuna? So tuna in China is not only for relaxation, but more importantly, it can cure some diseases. There are so many kind of diseases can be cured by tuna therapy. So take a look. So for example, orthopedics, internal medicine, surgery, gynecology, pediatrics, ENT diseases. So many kind of system, many kind of department diseases can be cured or can be relieved, can be alleviated by tuna therapy. So not only for chronic diseases, also for some acute attack of some diseases. Clinically, tuna is more suitable, of course, for functional diseases and mild organic diseases, organic lesions. More suitable for functional, just remember, of course, but mild organic lesions also can be used. So take a look, what kind of disease on earth can be cured, can be treated by tuna therapy? First department, orthopedic diseases. Of course, that is most important. For example, cervical spondylosis, periarthritis of shoulder, elbow strain, coastal chondritis, degenerative spondylitis, acute lumbar sprain, chronic lumbar muscle strain, lumbar disc herniation, knee osteoarthritis, stiff neck, knee collateral ligament injury, piriform syndrome, back muscle fasciitis. All these diseases, also not only, of course, I just take some representative diseases. Typical disease can be treated by tuna therapy. I used so many, I used tuna therapy to treat so many patients of this. For example, cervical spondylosis, periarthritis, and elbow, and herniation, lumbar herniation. So many. I treat this before. Very effective. That is orthopedic diseases. Second, department, internal medicine. Internal medicine diseases such as common cold, headache, insomnia, hypertension, epigastric pain, gastroptosis, constipation, chronic diarrhea, lumbago, enuresis, paralysis, diabetes, hiccup, and so on. These internal medicine diseases, of course. So many, so many. Of course, not only this. This is just typical. Gynecological diseases such as irregular menstruation, dysmenorrhea, amenorrhea, chronic pelvic inflammatory disease, mastitis, chronic mammary gland hyperplasia, and postpartum pubic symphysis separation, and so on, for gynecological diseases. And pediatric diseases such as infant diarrhea, cold, fever, enuresis, adolescents, pseudomyopia, children muscular toxicosis, children malnutrition, children cerebral palsy. So for pediatric diseases, there is other kind of TENA therapy. It's so-called pediatric TENA, of course, a little bit different from adult TENA therapy. Very popular in Chinese pediatric department. Number 5, nervous system. For example, facial neuritis, sciatica, lateral femoral cutaneous neuritis, and ENT diseases. For example, rhinitis, pharyngitis, myopia, strabismus, tinnitus, deafness, toothache, Meniere's disease, and so on. So many kind of diseases, different department diseases can be cured by Chinese TENA therapy. So that's why very popular in China, in hospital, of course, but outside hospital also useful. Okay, what is basic techniques of TENA? So take a look at basic requirement for TENA. When doctor do TENA, there is of course, requirement. What is the basic requirement? So representative word is that persistent, forceful, rhythmic, and soft. Persistent, that means the movement, not just go and leave, go and forth, no stop, just persistent. The movement, the manipulation, do persistently, without stop. Forceful, that means should be enough force, should be strong enough manipulation, strong enough. Rhythmic, that means the speed of movement should be even, not sometimes too quickly, sometimes too slow. So it should be even, the speed. And soft, patient feel not so stiff, your movement, your manipulation. And also our manipulation pressure effect should be deep and penetrating. That's different. In my opinion, that's different from other kind of massage. I experienced abroad other kind of massage on myself. So I think the big differences between the Chinese TENA and other kind of massage is Chinese TENA is deep and penetrating. They can go deeper. Our manipulation of TENA can go deeper and penetrating to deep tissue. So that's why I can do something treatment of diseases. So the basic techniques, I'd like to introduce some typical and representative one as below. Take a look. That is also quite used widely in TENA department. 一指禅推法 same. The touching area of the 一指禅推法 is small and soft. It can stimulate the selected meridians and acupoints continuously, gently and forcefully. It can relax muscles and tendons, stretch the blocked meridians, promote the circulation of the qi and blood, regulating the functions of the zangfu organs. It is especially suitable for treating internal, gynecological, and pediatric diseases, such as the headache, insomnia, facial paralysis, diarrhea, constipation, and irregular menstruation. Okay, take a look at second manipulation of swing. 滚法 rolling. So how to do 滚法? So we use the back of hand, this area, to roll the part of treatment, to rolling forth and back, and then the wrist joint do flexion, extension, with a certain pressure, of course. We must have using pressure, otherwise the 滚法 is not effective, not normal. So do this way, 滚法. Rolling the back of hand and these two joints and this triangle area, forth and back, and with a certain enough sufficient pressure. Usually rapidly, not too slow, rapidly. Left hand, same, 滚法. So that is 滚法. I like this movement. I like this technique very, very much. So this photo, take a look. This photo is my practice in Tunisia 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago. I think 21, 22 years ago. I used 滚法 to begin treatment in hospital, in acupuncture trainer hospital. And the next one is 柔法. 柔法 is more simple to do, more easy to practice. How to do it? 柔法 we can use our hypothenar, this area, and the thenar, eminence, or whole palm, or root of palm. Depends. Or we can use elbow also. Elbow, or we can use the finger. So any, no matter which kind of part of the hand, we touch the area of treatment, and then we move the tissue under skin. We do rotation, the tissue under skin. So not on skin, not like this. Under skin, we move the tissue, soft tissue under skin, circularly. This way or this way, depends. That is 柔法. 柔法 we use palm 柔法, finger 柔法, elbow 柔法. Depends. Take a look. Palm root, major thenar, hypothenar, and finger, and so on. Okay. Next one is 按法. 按法 also easy to learn. So means pressure, pressing. So pressing also we have different kind of 按法. 按法 with palm, palm, with hand. One hand, one palm, one hand, or double hand, like this. For example, when we do 按法, we can make use of our weight of doctor, ourselves, use our weight to press. That is a double hand, double palm, one hand, to keep a certain time, keep a duration of time on the treatment area. 按法 with one hand, both hands. Of course, 按法 we can use elbow 按法, palm 按法 finger 按法 see finger 按法 finger 按法 double hand one hand double hand and elbow 按法 very effective very easy okay that is 按法 按法 elbow 按法 on different kind of area, even on head, 按法 推法 推拿 推法 so that is one word of 推拿 推 means pushing in one direction, not like the other one 插法 推法 is a single direction. We push with hand, for example, with the root of hand, one direction. 推法 with enough sufficient pressure and push forward usually. Push forward. Of course, make use of our weight, the weight of doctor. 推法 different kind of 推法 Also, we can use elbow 推法 We can use finger 推法 For example, finger 推法 finger one finger whole palm whole hand or see elbow 推法 elbow 推法 Of course 推法 based on sufficient pressure like 滚法 like 揉法 also we need enough pressure 推法 also this is 推法 that is a 推 with both hands see like this both hands most of the time we need one cloth square clothes like this but 推法 when we do 推法 sometimes we can remove these clothes or take out some shirt so we can do just directly contact skin just directly on skin 推法 we can for example 推法 here that is 推法 okay that is 推法 推法 but on big area sometimes we can it's okay with pants or with clothes or without clothes that's okay that is 推法 推法 again 推法 and 摩法 so other name of 推拿 is so called 按摩 so that is 摩法 按法 just now I mentioned I introduced now 摩法 how to do 摩法 摩 with palm finger etc to touch the treatment area on skin and do friction it's different from 揉法 揉法 do friction under skin do movement under skin so 摩法 on skin we do friction on skin for example 摩法 with palm on abdomen so friction that is 摩法 other direction or with finger see 摩法 or on face we can do also 摩法 see that is 摩法 okay so that is 摩法 regularly circularly move friction circularly on skin that is 摩法 next one 摩法 on abdomen 摩法 with 3 fingers with palm with other fingers 拿法 捏拿法 grasping 推拿 that is 拿法推 I mentioned just now 拿法 Na. So we grasp on the treatment area with our finger, thumb, one side, other 4 fingers. We use 2 opposite pressure. And then na. One hand na fa or both hand na fa. See, na fa. That is na fa. And a little bit, lift a little bit. Press and lift. Press, lift. Press, lift. Na fa. Okay? Of course, rhythmic and soft and persistent and deep and penetrating. Never forget requirement of Tena. Okay, na fa. So na fa on neck, na fa on shoulder, na fa on arm. Okay. Kou ji, percussion. Percussion. We can do percussion with finger. We can do percussion with palm. Palm. We can do percussion with hyperthena. Kou ji. And also, we can do with the back of hand. I like to use with palm. With palm, empty palm. Empty palm. Percussion. Pai fa in Chinese language. Pai fa. Or both hand. Wrist joint relaxed. Elastic. Flexible. Flexible. Or with the finger. For example, on head. Usually on head we do more often. See. That is ji fa, pai fa, ji fa, percussion. Or use hypothena. Like this. Or both hands. Both hands. See. With finger, with palm, with hypothena, with back of hand. We can use different part of the hand. Now, this is joint activating. That means we move, we mobilize the joint of the body. Depends which joint. For example, we move wrist joint. Remove wrist joint. Okay, wrist joint. Or elbow joint, move, do rotation, or we move hip joint, 放松, 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 hip joint, do hip joint movement when we do this, or knee joint. Or ankle joint. See? Okay? So we depends on which joint is involved, which joint is painful. Okay? Also we can do shoulder, of course. Shoulder better sitting. Okay? Now I'd like to introduce joint activating manipulation. 摇法. Just now I introduced some 摇 on joint of hip joint, knee joint, and ankle joint, and the wrist joint. Now take a look. This one is a shoulder joint and the neck joint. Shoulder joint, we move. 放松. We move one hand fixed shoulder here, other hand hold elbow. We do this rotating. rotating. This one, or like we can do more amplitude. See, big amplitude. See, rotating. Okay. Or we do joint 摇法，放松哈，放松。When we do on neck, should be very soft and mild and gentle, not too sudden, not too sudden, not too rapid, slowly and mildly. Okay? Slowly and mildly, like this. 放松。Okay. That is a joint activating 摇法。So all these joint, we can do this kind of manipulation to mobilize the joint, to lubricate the joint. Okay. This one also, just now I showed this big amplitude, and elbow. Elbow also we can do elbow joint. See, elbow joint, 摇法, and also wrist joint. Okay, 摇法, and even finger, interphalangeal joint. See, see, 摇法, 摇法. Okay, so almost all joint, any joint, we can do 摇法 to mobilize, to lubricate. Okay, so this just now I mentioned manipulation are representative and typical, of course. In clinic, there are more techniques can do, but these 8 groups are more representative, more typical. So that is my experience of Tuina in other country. That is when I do Tuina introduce, I give a class also in other country, Bulgaria. That is in also Bulgaria, and that is when I teach, give a class in Sweden, Tuina, that is 摇法, 摇法 neck, and that is when I practice in I think in France, that is a 扳法. That's also joint activating, 扳法. I haven't demonstrate today because time is limit. 扳法, and that is 柔法. That is when I practice in Tunisia, Tuina therapy. I have to say, not only single manipulation. Usually in clinic, we sometimes combined several manipulation together. For example, 按 and 揉. When I introduce 按 singly and 揉 singly, but in clinic usually we do some mixed manipulation. For example, 按揉, 按揉. 按 that is 按法 and 揉法 按揉. Okay, so not only single. Sometimes we combined some technique together as a mixed, combined manipulation. Okay, today I have introduced a part of Tuina manipulations, 8 groups. Not all of techniques practiced in clinic, but these several techniques and manipulations are usually comparatively simple and easy to learn, easy to practice. So because of time. So much for today's lecture. So thank you very much for your attention.